Hello everyone, my name is Justin Tang, and joining me today for this audio commentary is Erickzilla of Kaiju Shitposting. Say hello, Eric.
Yo, what's good? Erickzilla here, and today I'm here with Tang over here. We're going to be taking a look at something pretty damn epic.
Oh, absolutely. 1956 is Rodan.
Indeed.
Produced by Tomoyuki Tanaka and written by Takeo Murata and Takashi Kimura.
Yes.
So with the release of the SH Monster Arts Rodan figure for Godzilla King of the Monsters, I thought that it... Yes, oh absolutely. We're going to talk about that eventually.
Yeah.
I definitely thought that it will be a very opportune time to talk about this movie in all of its glory. So, any personal backstory that you have with this movie that you could share with us?
Well, I think like the very first time I've ever seen this movie was pretty much when I was still sort of discovering Godzilla in a way. So like, pretty much when I first came across this movie, it was probably from one of my uncle's old movies he used to have, and it was one of those old VHS types of movies, and it had Rodan on it, and at the same time I was still sort of knowing monsters, and I'm like, wait, I didn't know Rodan had a movie. So I asked my uncle, like, hey, we watch it, and yeah, it was really cool. Like the whole thing of Rodan and his whole like his origins, pretty much. This is basically just like his origins. And just like everything about Rodan is like really cool. And that's pretty much how I've known of this movie specifically. And just like the plot and everything else like that, it's really just really like once again like many of Tomoyuki Tanaka's movies. His movies are just really interesting to see, and just like everything about it, it's just it's really cool. And the design of Rodan itself in this movie is actually, I would say it's one of my favorite designs.
Oh, me too. This is probably my favorite, and my second favorite being the 64 design.
Oh yeah. But like just like the way and just like again, I don't know what else to really say. It's like the movie is just really cool. The special effects in the film are also really cool. Like I love the way how when Rodan lands, it's like he looks all slow and everything. It's like really like showing how menacing this monster is. Like when he lands and stuff like that, like destroys a couple of buildings, causing everyone to fly off and everything like that. And this train, I think there's a scene where a train flies off and everything.
Actually, well, we'll talk about that scene later on, but as for my personal history with this movie, I think it's a really good movie, which is really funny because I knew about this movie's existence for a while, but I didn't get around to seeing this movie until late 2014 or so, because prior to that, I had only seen Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster and Monster Zero, so I was aware of this movie, but I just didn't have an opportunity to see it for myself. So the first cut that I watched was the Japanese version. It's a much better movie than the American cut.
The English one was the one I saw. The English one.
Yes, you need to get George Takei's "Oh my" out of there.
Oh yeah. But I also did watch the Japanese one as well. I would say they're kind of both to me. I kind of feel like they're both sort of like the same-ish. But I do agree that the Japanese one is more it's more better, really. It's way better when it comes to it.
So an audio commentary on this movie would not be complete without us getting to a whole spiel about our main star of the movie, which is of course Kenji Sahara.
Oh yeah.
Yes. This is his first major role. Prior to that, he was in Farewell Over a Ball and the original Gojira. But here he had changed his name to Kenji Sahara.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't his role because in a way I kind of had we watched the movie and right now I'm sort of just trying to remember. He was the main character, right?
You mean in this movie?
Yeah, in this movie, Rodan.
Yes, as Shigeru.
Yeah.
Sahara was born in May 1932 in Kanagawa as Masayoshi Kato. He has appeared in more Godzilla movies than any other actor at the time.
Ooh.
Be it Showa, Heisei, Millennium. Now, he first got his break in the business at around age 21, and he was placed second in the Mr. Ordinary contest, with first place going to future Nikatsu star Ryoji Hayama. However, Sahara eventually entered into what was called the Toho New Face program, which was basically an acting school of all sorts.
Oh, okay.
Now, around this time, Toho was the mecca of Japanese film production. They controlled a lot of assets that were integral to film production, as well as casting, cinematography, special effects, and all that good stuff. So after his graduation, Toho signed him to an exclusive contract where he started appearing in movies.
Oh, yeah. And like I think in this film, I recall he was a coal
miner?
A coal miner, yeah. He was an engineer, a coal miner engineer.
Yeah.
And then there was other characters as well.
Yes.
Like character
Akiko Rata.
Shirakawa, yeah.
Yes, we'll see her. We'll see her in this movie later.
Oh yeah.
So right now, Sahara and his group are going into the mine, and they're in for a really nasty discovery.
Oh yeah. I think they make a gruesome discovery actually.
Oh, absolutely.
And, oh yeah. And then yeah, you can see right there. Oh man, I remember seeing this part and just like, oh wow, that was just wow. Like I honestly, I don't know. When I first saw that scene, man, I didn't even know how to react. I thought like he was actually dead. And I realized, oh no, it's a movie. Nah. And then like Yoshi's pretty much just all goosed up. Like yeah, there we go. Yeah. That honestly was kind of the very first ever disturbing scene I've ever seen when it comes to like my first ever movie. When I've seen a Rodan pretty much. When seeing this scene, I was kind of just like baffled, like holy shit, like he's all bleeding, he's all freaking jacked up and everything like that.
He looks really famished as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there you go. The doctors are examining him and discover he has like deep gashes and stuff like that caused by an abnormal sharp object. And yeah.
Now, I do feel that this movie does a really good job at transitioning from what is seemingly one story element to the next. Because first off, he started with the Megalodons basically murdering people, which is kind of like a Japanese remake of them, essentially.
Pretty much, basically, yeah.
And then ever so smoothly, it transforms into a kaiju movie. So I think that's a very good transition on Honda's part, as well as Kimura's. There's a lot of, I kind of cringe whenever I hear little kids crying in movies. It also sort of brings in the realism of this being a really dangerous occupation.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You think about it, life is pretty shitty here in this mining town.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it portrays it. Really, it's just like the dangers of weapons and stuff that mankind has made and everything, and just like and like the mistakes of pretty much of man's power and stuff like that, and the effects of the consequences that really happen when you do something like that. It's insane.
Okay, so Shirakawa first appears here as well. This is her first appearance on screen. Yeah. I'm going to save my thoughts for Yumi Shirakawa's biography when I get around to reviewing the H-Man, because she has a lot bigger presence in that movie.
Oh yeah, the H-Man. I like the soundtrack to the H-Man, by the way.
Oh yeah, by Masaru Sato.
Yeah.
I think the acting in this movie is also really solid, because you get a lot of very realistic interactions about, like, for example, Kyo worrying about her brother's innocence and kind of faced with the realization that he might be suspected in murdering these people.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes in Honda's movies also have a lack of music to them, which also gives them a really big documentary vibe.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing that he has a good touch on when it comes to like he puts certain music in the parts of the film, and like there are some scenes where it doesn't really need it, and like he knows how to really just put the soundtrack in and everything else like that. In certain scenes that don't really need music, you just have to see it and just how it is. Like even without music, it has like a menacing, at the same time, kind of a mystery sort of vibe to it. And even then, that's really good. There's Goro. Go check him out. I believe Goro is who's that character again? I forgot again.
Well, they established in the very early moments of the movie that he and Yoshi were arguing, which leads people to suggest that he might have had something to do with it.
Oh,
Now, Patrick actually went as far as to say that this particular scene where these three people are killed is actually even scarier in the American version because there's a lack of music in that one.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing that makes it more scary is that in the English one, there is some menacing music in the background that you can hear it. And it has like a more menacing type of environment. Which honestly, in a way, that's also another kind of like way how I think that the English one is also pretty good as well because of the soundtrack that they chose for it. But at the same time, right here in the Japanese one, they kind of wanted to make it more so like the environment is like so scary and creepy. Like, oh man, like what's gonna happen? Like there's gonna be like a jump scare or something like that, you know?
It's also a really claustrophobic environment as well, with the water all the way up to their torsos.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's like at least a couple of things you could be afraid of. But then again, they're not gonna show up yet. Oh, look at that.
You get the worst of both worlds here. First, you're drowning in this really filthy water and being torn apart at the same time.
Oh, that is the way to go. That is just damn. There he goes.
Now, something that Honda likes to do very much in his movies is that he often likes to tease us in several small scenes before he actually gives us a full reveal of the monster.
That's the one thing that he had that is really, really nice too, is that like he always hides the monster before it shows up. Like it kinda like sort of like Jaws in a way. But at the same time though, he pretty much did it first in a way. Like when Jaws, he had Spielberg hides the shark, he hides the monsters here. He did it first.
Yeah, I think that's Shachio Sakai over in the background. I'm not sure.
The one thing that's like the only one thing that there's some scenes when it comes to the films, and there's a lot of talking.
Yeah, you mean in the sense of world building.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's a bit too much of it.
Now, this is another scene that I think is also very realistic. The fact that one of the wives goes crazy and assumes Kyo of being part of these murders.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of very in-depth human drama that accompanies this movie that I would definitely agree.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Look at that, they're all trying to hold her down and stuff. Damn.
This also kind of reminds me of some of Yasujiro Ozu's documentaries and melodramas.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, birds in a cage. That's not subtle at all.
Ain't that just one hell of a kick in the head? Oh, it's just you. Oh, what's up?
So obviously, both Sahara and Shirakawa had very little experience at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were relatively unknown when cast in the production of this movie. In fact, if you watch the Japanese trailer, it says that they promote them as the quote-unquote our great hopes for 1957 in order to give them hopes of giving successful careers later on, which was exactly what happened. So Toho was definitely very skilled when it came to putting its actors at the front and stage.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my god, that actually kind of does act like a jump scare. Like you just see its ugly mug right in front of you.
And here, ladies and gentlemen, is where we see the first appearance of the insect Meganula. Very, very gross looking, I know. But, yeah, it's very, very cool.
The name Meganula is based off of the giant dragonfly of the same name, which lived during the Carboniferous period.
Yeah.
According to some fossils, these giant dragonflies were about the size of an eagle.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not as big as any of the megalodons shown here, or the Megagyrus.
It's pretty much like when it comes to those creatures, man, they're huge, man. And like you said, they're the size of an eagle and stuff. But these ones, they kind of look like roughly size of a giant of a cow, really. That's amazing.
Holy shit, I never noticed that. They even make the same chirping sounds as the giant ants in them.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I've always thought with that, like, because at the time when I didn't really know much of this film, I always thought that the Meganulas from Godzilla vs. Megagyrus.
Megagyrus?
They were, yeah, Megagyrus, however you want to pronounce it. It's like, they have, like, I always thought like those were the very first appearance that we ever saw them. But then before when I first watched this film, I noticed there's a weird, those weird insects, and I'm like, what the hell are those? I search them up, and, those were the Meganulas, and I'm like, you learn something new every day.
Yes, now funny enough, the design of a giant dragonfly larva wasn't the first idea that they went with. At first, they were going to make them giant mole crickets. You know what those are, right?
Oh, yeah. Those are weird motherfuckers.
Yeah. However, they might have struggled with some difficulties with animating the spread out legs.
Damn, they're all going after them.
Yes. And even here, the designs of the Meganulons in terms of where the suit actors are positioned is really prototypical if you think about it. Like, if you look at pictures of the Meganulon suit, you could still see the suit actor's legs underneath.
Yeah.
And I think it was like either 2 or 3 guys, depending on which scene it was.
Well, I think it was mainly just 2 of them, I believe. Like, cause I think it was on, they've shown images that I've seen was, there was one guy controlling the claws and stuff like that, and pretty much the front part of it, and then the second guy was somewhere in the mid section of the abdomen of the the bug, and yeah, I think there was only 2 people in there.
Yes, it must have been really similar to in the original Mothra when Haru Nakajima and Tezuka were basically pushing through all those buildings.
Yeah. I believe also that they've also used like a puppet, I think, for the creatures. I believe there was some puppets.
Yeah, well, the Mothra butterfly was a puppet by default. I was just saying in terms of the larva.
No, but like I was saying, like for the Meganulas, like I think there were puppets at once.
Yeah, I think this particular scene is a puppet. You could still see the wires in this particular shot.
Yeah, you got him.
Yeah, a lot of the wire work in this movie, as well as the previous several movies, was very prototypical. Okay, this shot was removed from the American version.
Yeah, and at that point, I didn't see. I don't know why, but this scene always made me mad. Like the way they fall. Like it was kind of painful. It was kind of obvious that they're puppets and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was like.
Yeah, I know that's the same thing with in King Kong vs. Godzilla, where they throw the Kong puppet down the side of the hill and it smacks into Godzilla.
Yeah, and there they are.
So they then take a look at the dead bodies. And that all leads us to point at the screen. Duh!
It's obvious. You finally know? Look at that.
I also like the designs of their bodies. Like, you see the very characteristic scoots on their back that's very similar to Baragon, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's like...
Also might have inspired the body of Otachi in Pacific Rim.
Not really. Believe it or not, when it comes to the monsters from Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro was really strictly prohibited for any artist to actually get inspiration from like Godzilla or anything like that.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
even though Knifehead looks like a cross between Guiron and Zigra.
Yeah, but I don't think those people even knew what the hell those things were until like they started realizing it later on.
Well, props to them for choosing more obscure monsters.
Well, yeah.
Now, I believe you're also aware that in the original Godzilla, as well as this movie, they didn't actually have any permission from the JSDF to film these particular scenes.
Oh.
Like, they just went out there with cameras to film between military drills.
Now that I did not know.
However, with the Mysterians, they definitely had a lot more hands-on integration with the JSDF. Because at the time, they were kind of stingy about being portrayed in movies and television. So here, they must have seen a lot of Honda's work on Gojira in this movie and then agreed to them later on.
And right now, they're gonna drive down there.
Now, these are actual sets, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, because I saw that one picture of them actually constructing this tunnel with the minecarts in there, and it actually looks like a little roller coaster ride if you think about it. So you can definitely tell that a lot of detail was put into these sets, and it's all the better.
Yes. Yeah, go inside the dirty water. Nothing's gonna drag you down there.
Now here's when the tunnel really starts getting very cramped. And he also uses very suspenseful angles to sort of capture the mood of the scene.
Yeah. dead. Oh shit. And then...
Now, if you look closely at the Megalodon's faces, you could also see several extra sets of pincers and teeth around their mandibles.
Yeah.
So there's also a lot of detail on the Megalodon suits themselves.
That's the one thing I like about the suits, man. Like they have, I mean, they're little minor creatures and stuff like that. Like they're not really much part of it. But at the same time, it's nice to see how they actually put a little bit of detail with the monsters.
And now Sahara takes a ride on the roller coaster to hell.
And down to hell with the green screen.
Well, I don't think the green screen is that bad here. I think it's actually worse than the Mysterians. There goes the model of the roller coaster into the model tunnel.
Yes. And there it goes hitting a puppet. Ah!
I think you're also aware that the dark lighting in these scenes also serves to help mask any sort of phoniness in these particular scenes in terms of effects.
Oh yeah.
But it turns out there's more of them.
Yes. It's pretty much just like a crap ton of them in that mountain.
And of course, this triggers a landslide. Now, I think you're aware that during filming of this particular scene, one of the boulder props actually hit Sahara right in the chest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that supposedly, like, when he got hit on the chest by one of those rocks, those little prop rocks, that apparently he couldn't breathe for a second.
My goodness.
Yeah.
In fact, when you see him come out of the earthquake later on, you can still see a very big bruise on his chest. And of course, we have Akihiko Urata being a scientist again.
Of course.
He kind of looks like Buddy Holly with those glasses. And behind him is Yoshifubi Tajima.
He was from Ultra Q.
No kidding, you know, Mr. Kumiyama?
Yeah. This was his first role when it comes to, like, in the 50s. But, like, he later on came back in a different series from Super Riot Productions called Ultra Q.
Yes, I do know about that, but I didn't know that Tajima was actually in there.
Yeah, he was.
Usually when I read reviews of this movie, people usually praise the first and third acts as having a lot of action, but the second act usually drags.
Yes. That's what I mean by that. It sort of just lacks a bit.
Kind of interesting materials that they use. It looks like some of those materials that you would use for building model railroads.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw that scene when I was younger and shit, I honestly thought that was actually real. Like how the mountains were collapsing and crap. Like I actually thought that shit was real. And then later on, of course, there were just little props and stuff. But you have to admire the detail of it, man. The detail of it and everything. Just...
Especially the leaves, the branches, the ground cover.
Yes.
Out of all the effects that Tsuburaya has done, probably his most impressive that he's ever done, except from the kaiju suits and destruction scenes, are possibly like the nature scenes, like tidal waves, volcanoes,
yeah,
landslides, all that stuff. That's why I consider the final moments in The Birth of Japan to be his magnum opus in terms of all the effects that Tsuburaya worked on. I don't know if you've seen that movie before. Oh wait, there's a composite shot.
Oh, it's a matte painting.
Yes, so that's a very nice integration as well. There he is!
There he is!
Ooh, there it is! My goodness. They definitely did do a very good job at the costume department. This uniform just looks so ragged and it's taking a lot of punishment.
Ooh, that black car look nice.
Oh yeah, it's a 53 Buick.
Yeah.
So clearly Sahara has really been struck in the head. He doesn't even know his surroundings to begin with.
Well, yeah, man. Dude has been hanging around in the caves and shit.
Yeah. It's actually miraculous that he got this far. Now, something that I definitely praise about this movie is that Sahara here really does give a really good performance as an amnesiac. Look at the expression in his eyes. They're just really dead and blank.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah, and that's something that I would definitely praise about this movie's acting. Is that it's almost top-notch. I wouldn't say that this is the absolute best human cast in one of Honda's movies, but it definitely is in my runner-ups. And here's where the music kicks back in again.
Yeah. Man, look at that.
Yeah, she definitely is struck with a huge realization that he may never regain his memory, but they still try to regain it nonetheless. The mood also really helps as well. It really doesn't look like a very optimistic situation in the slightest.
Yeah. There he goes.
Yeah, also focus on Shirakawa's expressions as well. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw that scene with them recording the waves, I thought they were still harping on about the earthquake.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was a seismograph when I first saw this scene. Of course, every 6-year-old knows his dinosaurs.
Yes, of course.
Maybe that's the same book that's featured in the English cut of Kong vs. Godzilla.
Yeah.
It's really funny. That picture of the Megalodon that they're showing right now was probably a production photo that they took midway through making the film. And they said, hey, let's just use this.
Well, yeah, of course. They always. I think Shirohara would always do that. Oh, man, he would always do that occasionally. Like usually, like just like take a picture of it. That's it. Oh, no one was gonna notice. Oh yeah, okay.
First off, how the hell did they even get this picture to begin with? They didn't even take actual pictures of the Megalodon in the movie.
Perhaps somebody must have took a picture behind the cameras. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. As you can see, that guy's just tripping balls right now because he just saw a weird-looking puppet bug thing. So
yeah, but even so, I wouldn't say that it registers with him completely. So here's the first foreshadowing of the volcano.
Yes. You talk about it in the first act, you're damn right, but it's show it in the third.
Yeah, you don't really get a lot of it in the second act. Sure, there was that couple that was taking pictures at the base of the volcano where...
There's a shot of a jet.
Yes. Here's an actual on-location shot at a JASDF base. This is also a composite shot.
Mm-hmm. Now it's obvious, man. It's obvious that it's a composite shot.
Yeah, as I said, they didn't have a lot of cooperation with the JSDF at that time, so they decided to use a bunch of stock footage and put it behind our actors.
Yes. I forgot who was that in the jet right there.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Now,
someone pointed out that it was someone though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, an interesting analysis that someone wrote was that this might have been a reference to the Thomas Mantell Incident, which happened in 1948.
If that's the case, then that is a nice little reference there.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Mantell Incident occurred when a strange object was reported over the skies of Lexington, Kentucky. Pilot Thomas Mantell of the Air National Guard pursued the target in his P-51, reaching at least 7,600 meters, but ultimately stalled after losing oxygen and plummeted to his death. Some claim the object was the planet Venus, though others identified it as a skyhook weather balloon. But nevertheless, this incident, as well as the Kenneth Arnold sighting and Roswell incident the previous year, further cemented the public's fascination with UFOs and alien invasions in the years to follow. You actually see some blood on his helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a very strange theme because Tsuburaya was really uncomfortable with showing blood in his movies.
Not really much of a blood guy, I guess.
Yeah, that's why after he passed away was when Godzilla vs. Gigan went all out with the blood splatters.
Of course.
Yeah, Tajima's character actually has a lot more screen time than I expected.
Well, yeah, he's pretty. At the time, he was a pretty famous actor. In a way. I think last time I heard was that I think he was a friend of Sakuraya's. I think. Now that I remember.
Over here, we get some matte paintings of Beijing.
Yes.
This is kind of a geek moment for me, considering that I can also speak Chinese. Now we focus on the Philippines.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Filipino language I don't understand.
I had a teacher who was Filipino. She would talk a lot of Filipino language. I'm like, okay, I don't understand what you're saying.
This was back in the days before social media, that everything was on a typewriter. And of course, Honda wanted to capitalize on the whole flying saucer thing because that was the thing with science fiction over in the States. With Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, Forbidden Planet, so he just wanted to throw the word flying saucer in there to sort of stimulate the audience a little. Not sexually, but...
Of course.
Yes. And that's definitely something that the Mysterians took an opportunity to explore.
Mm-hmm. Going to church afterwards. Oh, look at that.
Oh, I think that's a composite shot right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, that was a nice little effect right there.
Yeah.
The way how it just floated until you see the shadow.
Yeah. That's why I was saying that Honda usually teases us briefly before he actually gives us a full reveal of the monster. Hey, look, Yashica product placement.
Nice.
Okay, so how exactly did they die? Are we supposed to assume that an avalanche was caused and they got buried, or I don't know?
I guess so. It's just really, really strange to really think about it. Honestly, it's one of those situations where you just go with it.
Yeah, just like this whole movie. You can't just accept that giant monsters are free in this universe. Definitely the symbolism of giant monsters was a lot more potent in the previous movie, whereas here, I definitely feel that Tanaka was just riding on the success of both Gojira and Raids Again and wanted to make another monster movie to sort of cash in on that.
Basically, yeah.
Now, this is a particular scene that I kind of have doubts with.
Mm-hmm.
So Hirata's scientist character takes a look at the brief snapshot of the wing, and he automatically registered it as a pteranodon.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Rodan's Japanese name, Rodan, is derived from pteranodon.
Yeah.
Gee, that's not subtle at all. It's kind of funny how they're raising doubts of it being a pteranodon, because clearly they know that giant bugs exist.
Sure, of course. He's slowly remembering.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Just drawing a tunnel here. We're gonna put a nice little insect there, by the way. So that's gonna be our little secret.
Wait for it.
And...
Not the mama.
Oh, God.
And here's when Sahara starts having his trigger flashback. Look at him. He's really physically just all mangled up and shit.
Basically, yeah. There's bats.
Yeah, those look pretty phony. I could see the wires on some of them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was the same particular set that they used in... Okay, now we get some scenes with the Meganulon suits themselves exchanged with the puppets.
Yes, exactly.
Again, this particular set, I wouldn't be surprised if it was recycled in the ending scene for The Birth of Japan.
There we have it. The first discovery of Rodan. Ska!
Look at his expression.
Oh yes, that mad painting though.
Yes. Oh shit! It's a big birdie! Big
The way
birdie!
that close up on them.
And it's headed for us! So
Another interesting thing is that like the Meganulas, they're just nothing but little snacks for you.
yeah, I don't know if this particular baby Rodan was portrayed by Haruo Nakajima as well.
Hold up, so wait a minute. Holy shit, then that's a huge ass baby then. What the fuck?
Yes.
Cause just now I just saw him eat the little Meganulas. Like holy shit.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yes, that's what I said. He's a big birdie!
Oh god.
Now, I absolutely love the particular Rodan roar in this movie.
Oh yeah. The Rodan War is really awesome.
Yeah, it's basically a much lower pitched version of the 64 roar, but as a result, it definitely does sound a lot more menacing. I would have loved to have seen this movie in theaters back in the day. I'm sure the sound would have really captivated me, as well as a lot of others. Now, in the Japanese trailer, there is a scene right after this where Shirakawa puts her head down on Sahara's chest, which was also cut out. Because Honda was very averse to filming affection towards characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another interesting thing about this is one of the very few times where we see kaijus actually eating something.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's the first with this movie is that like it eats other monsters. Rodan's like pretty much the first to ever like eat other monsters.
Yeah. I don't think we get another monster that actually eats something until maybe Baragon.
Maybe.
When he eats the really fake looking horses.
Yeah. I don't think Godzilla hasn't even eaten anyone.
Well, he has
besides,
used... Well,
besides the 98. Besides that one.
That's a lot of fish.
Oh, God.
Well, Godzilla has used his jaws to bite down on his opponents on several occasions, like in Raids Again, or even Godzilla's King Ghidorah, I think.
Yeah. Or... No, not King Ghidorah, I don't think so. Maybe, I think you're mixing it with the 91.
Yeah, that's why I said Godzilla's King Ghidorah.
Oh. I think he also did one and he bite him down to GMK too.
Yes, that too. It's weird, I'm getting a lot of half-human flashbacks with this particular underground scene. Because there's another scene in that movie where our main characters go in with hard hats to explore the snowman's cave.
Oh.
I like how the music at this point varies and it adds some very distinct harps, which makes you wonder, like, what the hell is down there?
Oh yeah. Look at the egg is gone.
ここです。確かにここに大きな卵があったんですが、それじゃ川村君、その卵の殻でも残ってそうなもんじゃないか。
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, are we supposed to assume that Rodan ate the rest of the remaining eggshell after he ate the megalodons? Or did it just biodegrade really that fast?
That's like the one thing that's kind of really weird is that like how the eggshells, you can't even see them. At least like little crumbs of it, maybe. Oh, look at that. What you know, it's part of the egg. That's a thick ass egg then.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just stumbled across a random rock that was on the sidewalk and decided to use that as a prop.
Mm-hmm.
分析の結果です。ほとんどカルシウムだと言っていいくらいです。パーセンテージは 90%。そうか。電子顕微鏡で見た結果もこの鶏卵の構造とそっくり同じで。まあ、覗いてごらん。
Now, judging from that description, would you say that this particular Rodan is more reptilian or bird-like in terms of its personality and its facial features?
It's more or less bird-like, if anything.
Yeah, I think the new King of the Monsters design is sort of going a little more with the reptilian look. At least from what I can observe.
It's the legendary one?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from coming from...
Time, though, yeah, but at the same time, though, there is some feathers on Rodan in this film.
I'm not sure if those are feathers or if those are scales. Or maybe there was just some debris that came off of his wings after resting in the mountain for so long.
No, but I'm saying like this film, in this movie, the 56 Rodan has feathers on his tail.
Actually, I don't think he actually has a tail. I need to go see it.
I don't know, just look at the X Plus version of Rodan of the 56 and you'll probably see it.
このプテラノドンは空飛ぶ生物の中では地上最大のものとして記録されておりましたが、発見された卵殻の一部から計算されたラドンは実に翼の全長約270フィート。
Now, according to some sources, Rodan is officially credited with having a 120-meter wingspan. So I'm not sure where the 270 comes from.
I mean, maybe it's the show of Rodan.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in some of the character information that was posted on Toho Kingdom. They listed as being 120 meters wide. I'm willing to bet that legendary Rodan will be 270 meters.
That Rodan is going to be larger, pretty much. It's pretty much with all three of the new monsters in them. It's like they're all going to be larger.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, it's the 50s. It's always that.
Yeah, in fact, it's even worse in the English cut because they have those stock footage scenes at the very beginning of them doing nuclear tests. So at that point, it's even more in your face.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I'm not really sure if the nuclear allegory is really necessary in this particular movie. Of course, Honda was really big into using that theme over and over again, but here I'm kind of have doubts as to whether it's even necessary. Oh man, you look, there are even more production pictures of the Megalodon.
Of course. You can see the tail, you can see the side. Yep.
Yeah, it would have made a lot more sense if they actually mentioned in the scene that they dug out one of the dead Megalodons from the cave and used that as the basis for the photos, but here they don't even show that at all.
Nah. Oh.
Something's happening. Very beautiful outside cinematography.
Yeah. What's that? I'm Rodan, bitch.
Very nice double projection.
I just gotta say it that Rodan 56 is like my #1 favorite.
Oh, me too.
The size of Rodan.
Yeah, and as I said, 64 is my second favorite. But we'll still have to wait till...
For me, my second favorite is the Final Wars Rodan.
Oh dear.
That was really cool.
I don't know about Final Rodan just basically looks like a human in terms of his body.
Well, yeah, I mean, all the monsters in that film have like a humanoid type of look to it.
You're dead!
the puppets, bro.
Yeah.
I think the puppets face more damage than the actual actors themselves.
That is a given. Now, apparently in the original storyboard for this movie, right after this particular scene, Rodan was going to attack a train carrying cattle and pick up one of the train cars with his claws. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly sure why that scene was removed, but...
That would have been a cool scene.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, it probably was an inspiration for the giant claw.
Oh.
Yes, I fucking mentioned Rodan and the giant claw in the same commentary.
There go the fighter jets.
Yes. I kind of like...
footage.
Yes, I kind of like the Get Rodan... No, these are props.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely do like the Get Rodan theme in its own way because it's very frantic and very fast-paced.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, that blue screen looks terrible. And of course, this theme was used again in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And the Ghidorah puppet in that movie looks terrible.
There's Rodan. Flying all fast and shit.
Yes. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk a lot about the wire work in this movie because...
There's actually some really cool wire work in there.
Yeah, even though you could see it in some points. Well, they couldn't make the wires too thin because otherwise Nakajima would have had a lot more falls. Like, did you know about this, that Nakajima actually fell 9 meters off of the wires because they snapped?
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely went through a lot of hardships. Like, if it wasn't for the water below and the bulk for that suit, Nakajima would have been very seriously injured. Okay, so now we focus on the city of Sasebo in Nagasaki Prefecture.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the very few Showa films to not be shown in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure those air raid sirens must have brought back really scary memories of the air raids during the war.
Yeah.
This movie, if you think about it, actually has a really huge cast because they're getting all those random civilians to look up in the sky.
Yeah.
And here we focus on the Saikai Bridge.
Yes, this scene, you get a really good look at Rodan in this scene.
Yes, as well as the very, very well-made miniature destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So here, we're gonna see some pretty good shit. Oh look, there's some composite shots here as well.
Nice. Wait a minute, hold up. I thought there was 2 jets got knocked out. Why there's 3 now? There's 3 of them. 2 of them got knocked out. Unless I'm missing something. It would be pretty cool if the legendary Rodan actually did this scene in the movie.
Yeah, well, from what we got from this first trailer, there is going to be a dogfight. Timber! Awesome destruction scene.
Yes.
According to official stats, Rodan is also specified to have a top speed of Mach 1.5.
Yeah.
So now
here we go. Here's the scene.
Yes.
Here is the scene.
The scene on Fukuoka.
Yeah.
Same city where Godzilla and Space Godzilla had their final fight. Yes. Apparently in the English cut, they also add a lot more scenes of people screaming, which some might be a plus. I'm not really sure because I haven't really seen the English cut that many times. Oh man, I actually saw some people behind those windows.
This part right here is gonna be awesome. This part.
Oh, absolutely. This is probably, yeah, it's probably the highlight of the movie.
Yes. Goes flying around, kicking the building.
Yes, I actually watched the documentary Bringing Godzilla Down to Size, and I was really surprised at how much detail was put into the miniatures and how they actually based them off real life locations.
Yeah. Camera.
Yes. No gamma reference intended.
No, just camera.
Even the tank miniatures themselves are very well detailed.
Oh yeah. That's the one thing that really nice about the tanks and everything. They're really detailed.
Yes, everything from the buildings to...
Blackface.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying, that Ishiro Honda is really a monster. He's extremely racist, anti-Semitic, and he put those natives in King Kong vs. Godzilla as blackface so he can make some racist statement against black people.
Fun fact, did you know that Super actually did kind of use reference from black people to make some monsters?
Like which ones?
If you search up a monster called Garamon, Garamon, and you'll see that it is a very, very sweet thing.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that the Ultra 7 episode that insulted the Hiroshima victims was not allowed to air, but Garamon was
Garamon was electrocuted.
Yes.
Not from Loki 7.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying this in terms of censored stuff.
Oh yeah. But there's also a monster right there, Loki 7 too.
And of course, we have those rocket launcher trucks, which are probably the most useless of all the SDF weapons.
Yes.
And also, there's the
in
same.
a way, when it comes down to it, when you're trying to shoot down a monster, any weapon is pretty much useless against it. Well, unless you're Godzilla 1998.
Or Gyra.
Yeah.
Oh man, just look at so much debris that's being thrown up in the air. It makes it a really difficult environment to fight Rodan in.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing where they're going with the Godzilla King of the Monsters trailer. From what I've seen, is that they're definitely going to add a lot more of this haze and clouds everywhere.
People always say like, hey, does Rodan even have any superpowers? Like, can he even breathe stuff out of his mouth? Well, he can in this movie.
Yeah, according to some production notes, this is actually radioactive gas.
Yeah.
So at least there, I think the nuclear code sort of goes into it, but they don't elaborate on it. So that's why I was saying it was a little unnecessary. But oh my god, look at this huge amount of destruction.
It is really awesome, honestly.
And the music really sells it as well.
Music is a nice touch. Yes.
Oh, like that's a really bad blue screen as well.
Oh yeah. Yep. There you go.
I hope they do something in Godzilla King of the Monsters where Rodan uses a ability like that.
Oh, that would be really awesome.
They're waving that map as a white flag of surrender.
Apparently. Oh, that's the one thing that's really just a twist.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
There's 2 Rodans flying.
Yes. So of course you have Nakajima inside the suit as well as the puppet being thrown around. So that's really nice integration right there.
Mm-hmm.
The details are just really, really top notch in this Blu-ray release.
Yes.
It's also very interesting, kind of like with Godzilla's first attack, it wasn't necessarily Godzilla himself that caused all the city destruction, but rather just the fires that spread everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Of course he would go back to where it hatched.
Oh look, there's a Datsun billboard.
Huh. Nice to know they were there in the 50s.
Yes. And there goes what's left of Fukuoka. At least until Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla.
Ah, yes.
Another interesting note is that, according to the book Age of Gods, this was the movie that Ishiro Honda enjoyed working on the most. However, I have seen heard some conflicting articles saying that it was the Mysterians that he enjoyed the most, or the Human Vapor, or Matango. So, I'm not really sure if Honda really enjoyed this particular one. So now we get some very nice looking shots of Mount Aso.
Yes.
On down below.
Uh-huh. Damn. So I guess you could say they did die.
Not quite. I'm not exactly sure where those bones are from. Are we supposed to assume that?
I kind of always thought there was those people with the camera and the lady with the white dress. I always kind of thought that was them.
That's actually pretty makes sense.
Oh yeah. And there was also a little high heel right there, so I mean, that makes sense.
同時に第二攻撃隊はこの陥没地帯を爆破して徹底的にラドンの脱出を不可能にする。ちょっと待ってください。そんなことをしたら阿蘇は大爆発を起こします。噴火が誘発されたらかえって滅敬もんじゃないですか。とんでもありません。もし溶岩が山麓一帯に流れ出したらどうします。しかしいや私は絶対反対です。砂川さん、もちろんそうするためには危険地帯の住民を即刻避難させます。
Hey, you know what? Now that I look at him more, I think that guy damn it, what's that guy's name with the blue suit?
Wait, Akiko Hirata?
Yeah. He
What?
was in the original Ultraman.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised if Sahara and Hirata made a lot of cameos in Ultraman and Ultra 7.
Well, yeah.
In fact, it was kind of like Sahara that really set his relationship with Tsuburaya in stone.
Yeah.
That's why after, like, say, War of the Gargantuas, he didn't make a lot of appearances in Toho movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I also, this stock footage was also used in Ultra Q.
Oh yeah.
In that mole episode.
Yeah, the mole.
Yeah, episode 8, I believe.
I think it was episode 20 something. I think it was around 26, I think.
Yeah,
it was episode 26.
Really? I thought it was episode 8.
I'm pretty sure it was on.
Well, 26 was the last one, so I'm not sure if it's... This is also one of only 2 appearances of these missile launcher trucks.
Oh yeah, you were right. It was episode 8.
Yes. So, admittedly, even though the plan to kill the Rodans ultimately succeeds, it also comes at a cost.
Exactly.
So,
it has to come out to a cost.
Yeah, kind of like with the original Godzilla. Yes, they killed Godzilla, but they also had to pay with the price of Tokyo Bay being a lifeless corpse. I mean, a lifeless just graveyard. I wonder where Kyo is headed off to now.
Shit, you gonna go after a girl, man. A girl out there just be out like right there.
Again, all of these outside scenes look pretty nice if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why you came?
What the hell is she doing outside in the first place?
Yeah, that is a very, very noticeable plot hole. And thus begins the volcano bombardment scene, which goes on for a little too long in my opinion. You know, for this being made before Teruyoshi Nakano started working on pyrotechnics, they still look pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Again, there's no music in this scene.
Yeah,
it almost seems like with every explosion, it's kind of like a death bell. Like kind of like a death sentence for the 2 Rodans.
Yes.
At least that's where I get whenever I do this particular scene.
goes Mounts also.
Yes. At least until Ghidorah defeated a monster.
Oh, there they are. You know, they're just chilling in there, just bracing it. They don't even give a damn, they're just taking it all in.
Yeah.
どうします？よし。草千里の尾根まで退避しよう。
It's really funny if you think about it because while Rodan kind of fits the tropes of generic giant monster movies, he's also kind of a sympathetic creature at the same time.
Yeah.
In fact, he doesn't really attack Fukuoka out of malice or any shit like that.
He just pretty much bombs the shit out of him. He's just like, motherfuckers. He freaking flies out.
Yes. This is in stark contrast to like some of the ways that the movie was marketed. Like, for example, the Polish title for this movie is Rodan Death Bird. And in Lebanon, the movie was called Bloodthirsty Hawk.
Oh, God.
Also, who could not forget that Gamma vs. Guiron was known as King Kong contra Godzilla in Italy?
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're just blowing the shit out of that. Getting all the angles.
Yeah, this is basically the cinematographer getting off to all of his desires of filming scenes from every single particular angle that he can get.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting how Rodan in this movie actually looks leaps and bounds better than all of the posters for his own movie.
Oh, the poster designs of Rodan are just
Terrible, man. Like, yeah, even
picture him like a dragon or something like that.
yeah, with green skin and snake eyes.
Yeah.
Not even the Japanese posters are better. They kind of portray him as looking like some turkey or buzzard.
But at the same time, that's how it was in the 50s. It kind of had it.
Yes.
You into the movie. Like, holy shit, it actually looks like that. We gotta go see this. And then later on, I do not want to see this again. It did not look like what I saw in the poster.
Are you sure you're talking about this movie or the Giant Claw?
Oh god, the giant claw. All it was, it literally was just a giant claw. Literally, it was just a claw.
At least in the poster, that was.
Yeah. And there's Rodan flying out of there. He's just flying up and everything.
And here's when the volcano finally erupts.
Yes. When they mention about the volcano, you gotta show it in the third act. Otherwise, it's just pointless.
Absolutely. All this buildup definitely does pay off.
Oh yeah.
Also, get a look at Tsubraya's tasty salsa dressing.
Yes.
I've always wondered what they actually used to create the lava.
I heard it was actually like a weird sort of mixture of like damn.
Was it like kerosene or what is it?
I think yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, obviously it looks leaps and bounds better in the Birth of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rodan can't fly because he's just consumed by all this toxic fumes.
Yeah, and even dies, falls right there, flapping around. And he was like, "Oh shit, dude, wait up, man! Yo, man, I can't get up, bro. I'm freaking high.
I've fallen and I can't get up." Yeah, another interesting note was that this particular scene with the Rodan puppet catching fire was actually not intended.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yes.
I think one of the strings ripped off or something like that.
Yeah, again, the wirework was really prototypical. but they decided to leave it in there for dramatic effect, and it definitely lives up to that.
Yeah. Rodan just like, if you're gonna die, man, I'm gonna die with you.
Yeah. It's kind of a sad scene if you think about it. It's also very beautiful as well, and the music really sells that as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why, but some of Ifukube's sadder themes are...
I'm sorry, it's like that scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't really intended, but at the same time, though, it was pretty funny to see.
Yeah. At least it was better than in the English cut, where we had to constantly put up with Key Luke's annoying narration throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So our characters look at this very sad sight, and they sort of get parallels as to the value of life and relationships and all that edgy stuff.
Yep.
It's probably the only movie where the kaiju actually commits suicide. That's how dark it is.
Shit.
Yeah,
It is kind of edgy then.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a very nice ending scene. So as we wrap up on this movie, do you have any other final thoughts to put out or any of that good stuff?
Honestly, when it comes to the film, man, when it comes to Rodan, it would always be probably the best movie besides Godzilla ever that I've ever seen. Like, it's kind of a childhood movie, honestly, because like when I first watched it and everything like that. I mean, the special effects and everything like that are pretty good, but at the same time, there were some things there. And Rodan himself and the Mega Nula suits are very, very well made, and they just look absolutely amazing. And just overall, there are some scenes, of course, that are kind of slow a bit, like what you said about the explosions and everything like that. Like when they were shooting at Mount Asto. That was pretty slow a bit. But at the same time, though, besides that, the movie isn't really that bad. It's actually it's a really cool movie, honestly. And it's actually a really short one, so I mean, you know.
Do you still give it a specific rating?
So mainly when it comes to ratings, I only give it up to 5.
Yeah, same for me too.
So I give it a 5, really. 5 out of 5.
That's a little bit more than I give it. So yeah, the original Rodan, it's definitely a kaiju movie that if you're on a budget, you want to have in your collection no matter what. It's a really good movie. Yes. It's probably neck and neck with the original Godzilla as one of Honda's best kaiju movies. So I really don't know what else to say at the moment. So as of right now, I still stand by 4 out of 5 in my rating for this movie. Already then, anything else that you need to pimp out in terms of future videos?
Well, for future videos that I plan on making, there's a certain thing where I'm going to be discussing the SH Monster Arts King of the Monsters, the new King of the Monsters Godzilla figures. So, I mean, there's going to be something about that. And, yeah, there's going to be a couple more things, but other than that, that's pretty much what's going to be coming out.
Oh, absolutely. I will be looking forward to that. So,
oh yeah, and I'll also be discussing the anime trilogy of the Godzilla anime trilogy.
Yeah, I still need to get around to watching parts 2 and 3 of that trilogy. But as for some of my future videos, I need to do a live reaction of Big Jack Films' King Kong 2016 fan film. And in terms of future audio commentaries, I'll be reviewing The Mysterians, The H-Man, and Secret of the Legion. That's coming up next.
Nice.
So be looking forward to that. Alrighty then, so it was really nice having an opportunity to do a commentary and talk with you about this movie, Eric. And
it was nice to be here, man.
Oh, absolutely. And I look forward to hearing again from you soon.
Alright, man.
Alrighty then, take care.